this Kent is giving me problems. Water isn't coming into the tank, and typically if there is a problem, this SV solenoid valve is the culprit. So I'm going to check if that works. Water flows into the sediment filter, and from there it goes into solenoid valve, then it goes outwards and into the pump on the other side, and it comes here, and from here it goes to, I don't know what is this, pre-carbon. So to check if the SV is okay, I'm gonna remove this here and turn on the and water should be flowing out of here, but it's just like dripping. So I'm guessing there's a problem with this, or there's a problem with the pump. Now I can't check the other side of the solenoid valve without dismantling all of this, so we'll take a look at that now. Now I've disconnected the SV. There's one bolt holding it down from below, and below that there's a tray which you just pluck it out of the translucent tray below this, which I removed. And also there's two screws this side and that side. Those two screws have to be removed, and this thing has to be lifted out. Well, let's check if the SV is working or not. I'm going to turn it on. Yeah, there's a problem with the SV. There's no water flowing. So we're going to open this up and look inside. We got the SV out. The flow is over here. The flow indicator is here. Yeah, that's the flow indicator. It moves from here to here. You can see that arrow here also. We'll open these 4 bolts and take a look what's inside. So I've opened it up. Let's see inside. Yeah, it looks like a mess. Need to clean this up a bit. It's magnetic. Oh yeah, this looks doesn't look in good shape. I'll give this a wash and see if it works. I opened up dismantled the SV, and these are the components inside. This goes over here. That little thing, this thing goes inside that little hole over there. Comes out through there and goes inside that like that. And inside this is a spring, a magnet. A spring is inside there. Washed it the best I could. I'm going to put it back together. So this is how it goes. This like this goes inside here, and this goes on top. And then this finally yeah, I think that's it. When reassembling it, make sure you know where the flow is, which direction of the flow is this way, from right to left. So then this should go here, like this. Put it like this is difficult to put it back in, because those terminals come from the left and connect here. So keep that in mind. Before you put the bolts back on, just see which the orientation with the Kent, where the wires, if it's okay or not. Okay, while fitting this, I fitted wrong earlier. this has to go be pressed right inside. It has to go inside a sort of rim over there. I don't know if you can see it. Open it a bit. See, there's a rim. It's supposed to sit inside there. So otherwise it will not work. This is how it's supposed to be. Reassemble it. Goes over here. And then this, we check the orientation. Wires come from this side and the flow is correct. Flows right to left. So I want it like this. Yeah. This should work. Keep this pressed. Now turn it on. And now I release this. My left hand, I release that. So instead of buying a new SV, just by cleaning inside, I could resolve this issue and maybe use this SV for another few months and then clean it again. It depends on your water quality in your area. If it's really bad, then this SV is going to get malfunction very often. Okay, turn it off. That's it. I dismantled the Kent. This is the flow chart. Water in somewhere over there. This is this. I think this is the wastewater. Goes through the flow restrictor here. Water in is over here, in over there, and then first goes into the inline sediment filter, and then goes to the solenoid valve or SV, and then goes to pump, then goes to pre-carbon, and pre-carbon it splits into a UF and RO. Now I'm not going to use a T over here. I'm going to use a elbow and get rid of the UF, so I'm going to only go this direction. I'm going to put 100% water into the RO, and then from the RO, there's one goes waste, one goes to the UV, and then the UV goes to the mineral. But I won't be using mineral. I'll be using a post-carbon, which is different from pre-carbon. So I'm going to install it now. So first water in and inline sediment filter. So we're going to put in the inline sediment filter. The water comes in from here, goes into the inline sediment filter. So this looks a little black. We'll change this. Okay, so this is the inline sediment filter. Just look at the flow. This direction, so it has to be this way. I'm going to put it over here and put in this clamp over there, and I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put in elbow here, and then and how we just push it in there, and it, yeah, that's about it. And this side also. Push that in. See how it goes. Just use one of these locks. Okay, well, let's put it inside here. Oops. That looks okay. Make sure you put the date on this. Okay, now that the inline sediment filter is done, now it goes to per the flow chart which I showed you earlier. It goes to the SV. So here's the SV. Two terminals come here, and this is held by a single bolt to the board. So I'm going to do that. And this goes up here, and just push that in. Make sure it's locked in. And then lock it. And then from the SV, it goes out to the pump. And so here's that. Gonna connect that side. Let's see. I'm going to lock it over here. And this is held down with the bolt. It's one of these over here. And that's held down. We'll do that later. Okay, and then it goes to the pump. And now it goes to the pre-carbon from here. So we'll fix that. We fit the sediment filter and now the pre-carbon. So this is the pre-carbon and the flow is this way. So once it comes out of the pump, I'm going to go this side, and then from here it goes to two ways. It goes through a T, goes through this T. Anyhow, we'll look at that later. So first we'll fix this. Take out these stoppers. Use a elbow. Push that in. And push this in over here. Difficult to do this as well as do the camera works. Okay, you need to have two brains, I feel. Okay, now this is going to go into this slot over here, topmost slot. Before I do that, from here we'll put one more elbow. Okay, and this goes here. And from here, let's see, I think it goes into the T, and one part goes into the RO, like this will go. One part goes into the UF, which is ultra filtration. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to discontinue the UF filter. I'm just going to put everything into the RO, so I won't be using this T. Now once you put the pre-carbon, I think you let the water connect it back to the water connection and let the water flow for about 5-10 liters. Let it flow. I think this has to be flushed, pre-carbon. That's a procedure. Because I noticed the last time 1 year back when I fit this and I did not flush it, I noticed the TDS was very high. Okay, so I'm gonna connect it back to the water connection. I just flushed the pre-carbon filter. I forgot to put the date. I'll put a date here and let it flow out for a few liters. But something I forgot is that inside there goes the flow restrictor. It's very difficult once you put the RO to put the flow restrictor, so I think I'll fit the flow restrictor now. Take that out and put a flow restrictor, and then we'll get back to the flow restrictor after we fit the RO. So we'll do that now. Flow restrictor, this is the flow, and it goes there and goes out through the waste water there. So we'll fit this now. It has a number with it, depending on your RO, how many GPD is your, it has a rating, your vendor will tell you about it. There's a formula to calculate it. You know, this has a rating of 450. Okay. Generally, when you buy the RO membrane, this will come along with it. So we'll fit this on. This comes from the one terminal of the RO. It comes here. Let's see if I can find that and fit it now. So for that other, lock it. And slip this through. Yeah. And this will be your RO waste outlet. Will go there. Next we fit in. Now we can put this back. Now we're gonna fit the RO. This is the openable type, openable casing. I'm gonna put some Teflon here. And I don't know which is the waste, which one goes to the flow restrictor, which is the good water. One goes to the flow restrictor, the other goes to the next stage, which is the UV, and then and then after UV post carbon. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the membrane in and let the water flow. Whichever nozzle that flows out must be connected to the flow restrictor. Okay, so this is what the membrane looks like. We'll put it in now. I don't know if it has a flow, direction of flow, I don't know. Yeah, it shows the flow over here. So this will be inwards. So open that up and in it goes. Got it right. Just push that in. That's all. So I'll put some Teflon here and tighten it. And then an elbow over here. The membrane's inside, and I use Teflon here inside. Use Teflon. These are the one side is, these elbows are, one side is a screw-on type. Here it is. And I use Teflon here also. Teflon here. Make sure you, when you wrap the Teflon, don't block this when you're wrapping. And I do it in a downward direction, so when I'm screwing on it, so it doesn't unwind itself. Here's another look. I wrapped Teflon here, and when I wind it in a clockwise, it doesn't. That's it. So I wouldn't put the Teflon the other way around. But I think you get the idea. Now I'm gonna connect it to the flow and see. Don't make it too tight or break the thread. I'm gonna connect it and see which is the waste, which is the good water. I connected it to the water source, and then I turn on the water you see, and it comes out through the nozzle that's closer. Oops. I connected it to the water source, and the water flowed out of this nozzle, so that will go to that must be the wastewater, and that will be connected now to the flow restrictor, this one. So we'll do that. And use these, lock it. Lock these two. Make sure you use new elbows and new T's or whatever, because they widen over a period of time, and then if you put a new tube, the water will leak out. So make sure you change the elbows every year, or every time you change do a reinstall, use new elbows, discard the old ones. Okay, and from this it will now go to the UV, I think, if I remember, and then from the UV it goes to the post carbon. So now I'll be fitting in the UV. Flow will be this way. From here it will come into here, and from here it goes to the post carbon. So I'm going to put on these clamps. Oops, got something. UVs don't need to be changed every year, they last quite long. You can just put this in directly, I think should work. That's it. Now I don't know if I'll have space for a post carbon, how I'm going to fit the post carbon here. We'll find a way. From here it goes to post carbon, and then from the post carbon it goes into this, into the water tank below. So that's the last step. Now I've crammed in the post carbon filter, and I put one clamp here and tied it with a rope. This just barely managed to cramp it in there. So from the UV out, it goes into the in. This is the flow mark. So using the same method that I used for the other filters, I did for this too, the post carbon. And from the post carbon it goes into the tank below. And that's about all. This thing has been secured, the SV has been secured with one bolt there. And I'm going to put it back in, and let's see how it works, and I'm going to check the TDS and all that. So that's all. So there's no UF, that TDS valve will use this. I'll disconnect those tubes, not required. This clamp is not required, we'll just leave it there. Okay, last is we come to this tray which we're gonna fit in. I'm just gonna stuff this inside this thing over here. That should do the job. So I'll just turn it over side. Stand it there. This tube goes through here. That'll fill the tank below, and so this side I'll just push it from this side. and that's it. It's gone in. I just pushed it in and it goes in like a press fit. Okay, that's about it. Now I'm gonna test it and I'll check the TDS. I think this can be trimmed a little bit. So I put it all together, and that's the final output. So it goes from UV to post carbon. I'm gonna check the TDS. I'll let it flow for a few liters, 1 liter, and then I'll check the TDS. I hope the pressure isn't too much, because this is in between this and the other thing. Important to change this every 2 months, especially if the water quality is bad. Change the pre-filter every 2 months. So go for a reputed brand like LexPure. Some of the cheaper pre-filters they don't filter. So I'll just open it here and check if the pressure is not too high, and then I'll put the glass back. So I've collected some of the output from the post carbon final stage onto this thing, and this tap water has a TDS of about 820 or something. It's 171. It might go down over a week or so. So it's a success, and there's no leakage anywhere. I'll put the glass back.